Hey guys, welcome to an introduction on Lincoln Douglas value debates. This is Lilac, and I hope that you will find this instructive and helpful. I've made this video for people who are brand new to any style of debate, so I tried not to overwhelm you with too much information, but even if you have debated before, I hope that this will open your eyes to a brand new style and have fun with it. So where did Lincoln Douglas value debate start? Well, it started when Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln had the debate of 1858 over the slavery laws during the Civil War. So as you might have guessed, Lincoln was for not having slaves, and Douglass said the states could have them. And this wasn't necessarily because Douglass was an awful person. Frederick Douglass just believed that it was the states' rights to decide whether or not slaves were a good thing. And Abraham Lincoln thought it was a federal or big government matter, that the United States government on a federal level should be able to tell all the states, nope, you can't do that. So one of them were valuing states' rights or small government, don't tell the individual states what to do. And the other one was valuing, I don't know for sure, but I would say human rights, the rights of these people, the African Americans, to be treated as equal human beings, and that the states couldn't make the individual decision to say, no, we'll let some people have slaves. And the reason that Abraham Lincoln gets the picture to the left is part of it's because I didn't have room for two pictures, but the other reason is because he won the debates. The federal government amended the Constitution to say that the states didn't have the right to enslave people, as I'm sure you know if you've read through the Bill of Rights. Issues of states' rights versus federal law, just as a fun fact, go on all the time, even today. The gay marriage law, abortion laws, gun control laws, I think, are big examples. As I type right now, the Supreme Court is making decisions about whether or not states have the right to outlaw gay marriage, and whether you're for or against this, the point still stands that which rights states do and do not have is a heavily debated subject. Alright, as you might have guessed, Lincoln Douglas is all about values, and there are a few key questions you're going to ask in every debate round. And the first is, which is most important? You're going to be presented with two sets of ideas, and you have to answer the question, which is more important and why? Why is always the driving question in Lincoln Douglas, and you're going to ask every time, why are we valuing this? Next question, should. Should we be valuing this or that? And again, you're going to ask yourself, why? Just a quick note, we don't have to discuss the question of how very much in Lincoln Douglas, and if your opponent asks you to do this, it's normally not necessary. That's policy debate. So instead of saying, when we buy the new dog collar, it's going to cost us $20, which benefits us this way or that way, we just say the new dog collar should be bought because we value our dog over the $20. So we're not as into evidence or specific. Now the topics that we get to debate are called resolutions, and that might sound like a new word, but it's actually not. You've probably heard it before in the context of my New Year's resolution. In fact, this has made many dorky New Year's themed debater jokes, and every first of every year you're guaranteed to see at least a few of them if you're on Facebook and friends with debaters. The definition of resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something, and I got that from the Oxford Dictionary. So some example resolutions, just for fun, are cats should be valued above dogs, teenagers' opinions are undervalued, and yelling at my brother is moral when he's being a jerk. Real resolutions that we're going to debate in competition are probably going to sound more like privacy is undervalued, or the United States federal government should value this over that, things like that. But just to give you a general idea, I'll be working with some of these more fun resolutions. In Lincoln Douglas, there are two sides and only two debaters, so you don't need a partner. And in a Lincoln Douglas round, there are the affirmative and the negative sides, and you will have to debate both sides, have a case ready for either side. The affirmative's job is to affirm the resolution or prove it more true than false, and then argue against what the negative has to say. They give 3 speeches which alternate with the negative, and their speeches are generally shorter, and they're the first ones to propose a value. The negative job is they have 3 options normally. They either have to negate the resolution, prove it more false than true, or prove it both equally true and false, or they can prove that the resolution is inherently illogical or offensive, and it's impossible to debate or unethical to debate. And this is called a critique, and it doesn't happen that often, but I just wanted to make you aware of it. Now, the job of the negative speaker is also to negate the affirmative speaker or to prove what they say is more false than true, unless they're running a critique. And then they also have to disagree or agree with the value, and they only have to speak twice. This is alternating with the affirmative debater, as I said before. And here is a brief overview of a debate round, so you'll get to kind of see what it looks like. And don't worry, both speakers get a total of 13 minutes to speak. It's just that the negative speaker only gets 2 speeches, but they're a lot longer. Whereas the affirmative speaker gets to open and close the debate, but their speeches are very short, giving them a very limited amount of time to get all of their arguments together. The affirmative speaker starts the round by giving a 6-minute speech, explaining their case, persuading the judge to vote for this side of the resolution. But then the negative speaker gets to get up and ask the affirmative some questions, clarifying and starting to plant some doubt in the judge's mind about the affirmative's case. This is called cross-examination, cross-X, or just CX, and all it is questions. And it goes on for about 3 minutes, and both debaters get to do this to each other. The negative can then choose to prep here for a few minutes. Each speaker gets 3 minutes to prep that they can spread over the whole debate round, and this doesn't use up any of the affirmative's prep time. The negative then gives a 7-minute speech. And they can build their own case, refute the affirmative's case, whatever it is they want to do. Then the affirmative gets to get up and cross-X the negative speaker. And these are the only 2 times we have cross-examination in this round. After that, it's just the rebuttals. So next, the affirmative can use some prep time if they want to. They usually do, and they usually should. Then the affirmative gives a 4-minute speech defending their case and refuting the negative's arguments. Now the negative can use the rest of their prep time. The negative again gives their final speech, which is 6 minutes, where they refute everything that the affirmative said, and then they give some main reasons to vote for their side, or voting issues. The affirmative then uses the rest of their prep time, and they give a quick 3-minute speech, wrapping up the entire debate and giving 3 voting issues as to why actually the judge should vote for them, and that ends the debate round. Unless the negative speaker is running a critique, or they're doing what's called a balanced or essential negative, or they're saying the 2 things being proposed in today's round are equal, and I'll have videos about those later. A debate round is going to go one of 2 ways. First, the affirmative is going to say that the resolution is true. For example, they'll say, it's moral that I yell at my brother when he is being a jerk, because it's important that I express my emotions. So my value is communication. And they're going to ask the judge to weigh this round based on the fact that they should value communication above everything else. The negative says, I disagree. You shouldn't yell at your brother. That makes you a jerk, as much as he is. So my value is niceness. Now, for the rest of the round, you're going to be debating which is more important, niceness or communication, and asking the judge to decide, based on which one of you is more persuasive and has more logic to back up what you're saying. Or the debate round can go like this. The affirmative can say what they originally said, and the negative can say, I disagree. You should not yell at your brother. Communication is the most important thing, but we should communicate by being peaceful. So they're both trying to achieve the same value, the same goal, communication. But the negative is proposing we do it through peaceful discourse, not yelling, still negating the resolution. And the affirmative is saying that we're going to do it through unrestricted emotions. Taking notes in a debate round is called flowing, and there are many different kinds of flowing. Experiment with a few different ones and see what works best for you. There's flowing by speech, flowing by argument, divergent flowing, alternative flowing by speech, bubble flowing, box flowing. I don't even know how to do the last 2. But examples of what a flow might look like, I put a few pictures on the board up there. It's basically just a very fancy word for taking notes. And I'm going to have some videos later on how to flow by speech, how to flow by argument, and how to do alternative flowing by speech, which is what I do. I have a few more notes for you before I end today's video. The first thing is that if both sides are trying to achieve the same value, like I showed you earlier with communication, but they have different ideas on how to get there, think back to the arrow diagram, then the values used to achieve the bigger value are called criteria, and the singular version of that is criterion. So maybe the affirmative will say in their case, what I'm trying to achieve here is human rights. And I think the United States government can achieve human rights by upholding maybe economic welfare. And they're going to explain how they're going to do that throughout their case. Criteria can be used to achieve the value, like a tool or a road to get there, just like I explained. However, the term criteria can also be used for a value that's used to measure another value or to limit another value. A measuring value shows you how much of a value you have. So, say the affirmative would say that we know that peace exists when people aren't dying, and they propose the measuring criterion of human life. So that's how we know what peace is, since peace is kind of a vague idea. And the negative does the same thing with criterions. A limiting criterion is kind of a interesting subject because some debaters strongly disagree with limiting criterions. But the idea of a limiting criterion is say, we should value this value up until the point that it hurts this thing. So let's say my value is freedom, but my criterion is the harm principle. Basically saying you can have as much freedom as you want as long as you don't hurt someone else. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit more about flowing. Traditional flowing or flowing by speech is how they teach judges to flow in judges' orientation. And that's typically how they teach novices how to flow. It's really simple and easy to understand, and it's a good way to flow. However, lots of other different ways of flowing are available, and advanced debaters use these for more space, easier organization, and although some do choose to stick with traditional flowing, what works different is different for everybody. I was a strong believer in traditional flowing by speech, until my friends kind of converted me to this other side, but it's all good, as long as it works for you. Debaters normally shake the judge's hands before debate and ask for any preferences the judges has or experience they'd like to share. This is called asking for a judging philosophy, and you can choose it to call it by that name or not when you're talking to the judge. They shake the judge's hand after the debate as well. Contentions, that's just a fancy word debaters use to say my main points, and I'd just like to remind you that first off, defining terms in a round is very important. The affirmative usually does that first. And last, it's very important to be respectful and courteous in a debate round. That ends our video for today. I'd like to say good luck and have fun. Please remember to subscribe and to like this video. If you have any questions about Lincoln Douglas debate, please email me or check out my blog. Ask me a question in the comments section. I'm going to have tons more videos about the specifics of debate, some of it very basic stuff, and some of it a little bit more advanced. And I'll have it all organized out there for you. So like I said, good luck, have fun. I hope you learn a lot. In fact, I know you do. This is one of my favorite events of all time, and I'm sure it'll become one of your favorites as well.